we are cracking open an ancient architectural playbook to figure out how it was engineered for life itself. You're going to want to see this. Let's dive in.
So let's start with the big question right up front. Is Vāstu Śāstra just a bunch of mystical rituals, or is it a seriously sophisticated system of engineering? One built on math that maybe we've just forgotten? I mean, really think about it for a second. We've got smart homes, crazy advanced materials, climate control, and yet so many of our modern, sealed-up buildings can feel, well, suffocating. They feel stagnant, even a little stressful. But then you can walk into a temple that's 1,000 years old and you just feel this incredible sense of calm, this natural comfort. What is going on there?
Well, what we're going to do here is reframe this whole conversation. We're taking vague ideas like good energy and we're translating them into their real-world scientific equivalents: physics, neuroscience, and hard data. So you see, this isn't about belief. It's about biology and engineering.
Okay, let's get into our first really concrete example, the sun. Vastu is obsessed with the sun, but, and this is the key, it's not for some mystical reason. It's all about using our star like a daily prescription for your health.
So, a core rule, maybe the core rule, is that a building has to face east. The ancient texts are super clear about this. But the why behind it has nothing to do with superstition. It's actually a really deep understanding of solar dynamics and what the sun does to our bodies and our homes.
You see, the light from the early morning sun has a very specific wavelength. It's packed with UV radiation, which basically acts like a free, natural disinfectant, sanitizing your entire home every single morning. And even more important, when that light hits your eyes, it sets your internal body clock, your circadian rhythm, and it triggers a flood of serotonin, the happy hormone. It literally engineers your home to make you healthier and happier.
And look, this isn't just a nice theory. A study of people living in homes built on these principles found a 14%. That's a huge 14% improvement in their sleep quality. That's not magic, that is biology in action.
So, if the sun is kind of like our natural doctor, then what about our home's lungs? Let's talk about airflow. Because long before we had air conditioners plugged into the wall, these ancient architects built buildings that could actually breathe all by themselves.
You've probably seen this before, right? In traditional homes, that central courtyard that's just open to the sky. Well, that has a name. It's called the Brahmasthan. And it's an unbelievably clever piece of passive technology that today's engineers call the stack effect.
So here's how this natural engine actually works. All day long, the air inside your house heats up from, cooking, people, sunlight, and that makes it less dense. Basic physics says that hot air has to rise, and it escapes right out the top of that open courtyard. Now this creates a low-pressure zone, kind of like a vacuum, that literally pulls cooler, fresh air in from the windows and doors to replace it. It's a non-stop, self-powering cycle of ventilation. And the results? They are absolutely staggering. When you run computer simulations, you find that a home with a Brahmasthan can have more than a 50% increase in natural ventilation efficiency. And the best part? It does all of this without using a single watt of electricity.
Okay, so we've seen how this ancient system manages light and air. But what about the ground you're standing on, or the water in the soil, or even how sound bounces around a room? Vastu pulled all of this together with a framework that can sound a little mystical, the 5 elements. But let's break them down, not as magic, but as really practical categories of physics.
So check this out. When Vastu talks about Earth, it's really talking about geotechnical engineering. Testing the soil to make sure it's stable. When it says water, it means hydrogeology, understanding how water flows underground so you don't get a damp house. Fire is just thermodynamics, managing heat. Air is fluid dynamics, which we just saw in action. And space? That's all about spatial volume and acoustics, making sure a room feels peaceful, not echoey. See? They're not abstract ideas. They're a practical checklist for site-specific engineering.
And here's a perfect real-world example. Vastu says to put water features, like a pond or a well, in the northeast corner of a property. Why there? Well, it's the part of the house that gets the least direct, intense sunlight. So the water stays cool, and it acts as a natural thermal sink, pulling heat out of the air and passively cooling the entire home by 3 to 4 degrees. It's genius.
Now, building on that earth element, this might just blow your mind. Let's talk about earthquake proofing.
Ancient temples were often built on these deep sandbox foundations. What does that do? It decouples the building from the ground so it can shift during a tremor. That is the exact principle behind modern base isolation systems used in skyscrapers today. They used interlocking stones with no mortar so the stones could rub together and dissipate energy, just like modern friction dampers. This stuff wasn't primitive, it was unbelievably advanced for its time.
So, let's bring this all home. This is so much more than just an interesting history lesson. As we're dealing with all our modern challenges, this ancient blueprint for how to live sustainably and healthily, well, it's more relevant than it's ever been.
Let's switch gears to neuroscience for a minute. Our brains are prediction machines. They are hardwired to look for patterns. So when a room's layout is chaotic or asymmetrical, it creates a high cognitive load. Basically, your brain has to work overtime just to process the space, which can raise your stress levels. Vastu's love for symmetry and grid layouts isn't just about looks. It's about giving your brain a break, creating a space that's predictable and easy to process. And this measurably lowers stress and helps you focus.
And this thinking extends right down to the materials you use. Old school lime plaster is porous, it breathes. It lets moisture escape, which stops mold and CO2 from building up. Modern cement, on the other hand, creates a totally airtight seal. That can trap all sorts of indoor pollutants and lead to something called sick building syndrome. And suddenly, we're right back where we started, with that suffocating feeling.
And really, it all boils down to this one powerful idea. The best architecture isn't just a box we live in. It's an extension of us. It's a system designed to work with our biology to make us healthier, more focused, and just better.
And that leaves us with a final question for you. Vastu proves that some of the best solutions to our biggest modern problems, like energy costs and mental health, might not come from inventing something brand new. They might come from rediscovering the wisdom we already had, and just looking at it with fresh scientific eyes. So you have to wonder, what else is out there, just waiting for us to understand it?
If you're ready to level up, like and share this video. Subscribe and hit the bell to join the future of efficiency. Era, your life optimized.